Boy oh boy, did Legend Story Studios get me and get me good. So, in the previous little speculative video, we looked at Alluring Inducement and the fact that it's a Cheyenne specialization numbered 215. Alright, so 215 out of, I think it was 236 for Dusk Till Dawn. So given usual set design and layout and numbering, this left a little bit of wiggle room to potentially see either more Cheyenne-specific cards or shapeshifter cards in general. And, well, I was really delighted to see that. But then we got a whole another set of cards, and what would you know? Chorus of Ironsong, 208, Starstruck, 203, Anthem of Spring, 196. These cards are very, very close together when you think about what they represent. Okay, so I wasn't actually planning on doing any more speculative videos, right? I was waiting for more cards to drop so we could do some reviews in their entirety, but this really intrigued me because it is really throwing me for a loop how Dusk Till Dawn will actually be assembled in terms of numbers. So I thought we'd take some time to look into things and sort of speculate, what does this actually mean? The fact that all the hero specialization, the hero specific cards, are here at the end of the set grouped together. What could that potentially mean for the actual set design? So a good place to start is to actually take a look at previous sets. So for instance, we have Tales of Aria. As you can see, we have the prominent hero, so Oldhim, featured in first. Then second, following his set of cards, it's Lexi. Then after Lexi comes Briar, followed by the actual subtype of the set. So in this case, we have Elemental. Then we have Earth, followed by Ice, and lastly Lightning. Okay, so the set is laid out in the principal heroes for the set, followed by the core sub-category, if you will, for the set, and then any of the additional cards, again, grouped by their specific type. So for instance, all Guardian cards are together, all Ranger cards are together, Runeblade is together, and generics usually feature at the end of the set. However, these cards that we have had spoiled, Anthem of Spring, Starstruck, Chorus of Ironsong, and Alluring Inducement, the way they are numbered and the fact that they are so close together and they all share the unifying trait of being a specialization sort of indicates that Dusk Till Dawn will feature whatever its core themes are, so possibly light, given the fact that Bologna is not a illusionist card, but is a very low number, followed by, at the end of the set, these hero specializations, if you will. Okay, so again, 196 to whenever seems to be just set aside for specializations, because you couldn't stick, all the Guardian support cards between Guardian and Warrior Chorus of Ironsong, right? That is 5 cards, including this one, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is the Chorus of Ironsong. So you can't just have five Guardian cards, that doesn't make sense. And we still have the usual split up of rarity, I would assume. Again, this is throwing me for a loop, where it goes Legendary, Majestic, Rare, and then Common. So how exactly can we squeeze certain cards into this subcategory of numbers, if you will? Well, one way I thought of looking at it was that, again, this is going to be all the hero specialization cards featured from whatever number. So Briar is usually, and same with Earth, is the low number, or the lowest added subcategory card, if you will, for Tales of Aria. Whereas Earth in itself is above the other two in terms of elements. So it's whether or not you look at this card as Earth or as Briar. If you look at it as Earth, then that probably means we get Ice and Lightning. If it's Briar, then we have before it Lexi and Oldhim, which is very, very confusing to me. So why don't we look at one that's a little bit easier? The two cards are actually closest together, Starstruck and Chorus of Ironsong. Now, usually whenever the Welcome to Wraith hero set is presented, you get the same ordering, right? So if we look at the promos, it's the easiest way to showcase it. You have Rhina first, then Bravo, then Katsu, then Dorinthia. This is the same for the set layout in Welcome to Wraith, right? So Brute, followed by Guardian, Bravo, followed by Ninja, Katsu, followed by Warrior, Dorinthia. Okay, so they usually follow the same setup and layout across all the different sets. So what does this mean? Well, we think of it in that sense. Well, before Starstruck should be Grindr's specialization, and after Starstruck and before Chorus of Ironsong should be Katsu's specialization. So that leaves 4 cards to be either dedicated to Bravo, and his specialization cards, or Katsu. Now that, in no way you split it up, is even, okay? And usually there's an even amount of cards split between everyone. So it's again throwing me for a loop. You know, maybe they stick Ira, maybe they group Guardian together, Warrior together. So it goes, for instance, Oldhim, Bravo, then Bolton, Dorinthia, or Dorinthia, then Bolton. I don't know. All I think I can rationalize from this is that all these specialization cards are going to appear at the end segment of Dusk Till Dawn, just before the generics. I will zero in on, I'm pretty sure there's enough room for the generics of Dusk Till Dawn to be after this set of cards and after Alluring Inducement, you know, be it, say, 10 to 20 generics. There's 21 slots, so it's applicable there. But it has me really intrigued about who actually gets support. Will we see, you know, Guardian cards supported, or will we see only these specific hero cards? We know that Light will feature prominently, same with Shadow, so I would assume it goes Light, Shadow, sub-cards, and then these specializations, then generics, or something like that. But if we look at Monarch, Monarch goes differently. Okay, Illusionist is the lowest set, and then we have Bolton, and then we have Light, and then we have normal Illusionist, normal Warrior, then we have Shadow Brute, Shadow Runeblade, Shadow Brute, Runeblade, and then generic. So it depends what sort of formatting you want to presume, okay? If you think of it like Dynasty or Crucible, right, all the hero cards would usually go first, and then the subcategories would go together. But that just is not the case with the cards that have been spoiled. You know, if this was part of an Earth category, I would presume it to be a bit earlier on, because there's just not enough cards for what they're outlining that they're trying to do in these hero specialization. It would make sense that every hero gets some level of specialization specific cards, right? So we're seeing Bravo, Dorinthia, and Cheyenne, the three heroes that we know are affiliated with Solana. We've seen Dorinthia on the mural that they're using as the key artwork for Dusk Till Dawn. Gemini is featured in the lore text, okay, and then Bravo is, well, Bravo. The card speaks for itself, more or less. So I would assume that, again, all these specializations are grouped at the end here. So I guess the other thing to think about is how many cards does each hero get? If we, again, think that someone is being slotted in between Bravo and Dorinthia, either being Bolton, and we're going Guardian Warrior, or Katsu, and we're going with the normal hero numbering, right? Well, then how many cards do we attribute to Guardian? How many cards do we attribute to Ninja? And how many cards do we attribute to Warrior? I would assume that they're still going to keep it even, and there is just no numbering that really works out in that case, unless there are, say, multiple Majestics, and I'm presuming that this is the first card of the Majestics, right? I suppose for all we know, this whole back lot of cards are all Majestics, and in that case, we could see, you know, probably 3 specialization cards per hero. So that would mean that, say, Guardian could go from 203 to 204, and then 5, 6, and 7 would be Katsu, and then 8, 9, and 10 would be Dorinthia, leaving, 11, 12, 13 for another hero, 14, 15, and 16 for Shapeshifter, or potentially, say, 14 for Merchant, maybe, and then 16 for Bard, or something like that, if we throw in the other heroes into the mix. Altogether, this is really baffling and exciting to me, okay? What do you think? What do you think this means? Am I reading too much into it? I mean, they generally stick to the same groupings where, again, at the very least, all cards pertaining to either the same hero or the same subtype are grouped together. But there is simply not enough space between Bravo Starstruck and Chorus of Ironsong to Alluring Inducement to support Guardian Warrior. I personally, that's what I believe. So to me, it almost seems like all these specializations are being pushed to the end of the set and all grouped together. And then we'll have, you know, a few Guardian cards in the middle, a few Warrior cards in the middle, as we've seen with all the other supplemental sets. I don't know. It's super interesting to me. I thought it was definitely worth discussing. It baffled me when I saw the numbers. I've been seeing the cards pop up, but it didn't click till now that they are so close together in terms of where they are in Dusk Till Dawn. And I doubt that it's like 80 light cards, 80 shadow cards. That just wouldn't make sense, right? So something's going on, and it's going to be interesting to see how everything lines up overall in Dusk Storm. What do you think? What are some of your predictions? Do you think I'm sort of on the money, where all these specialization cards are being tucked away, and we will see, 1 to maybe 3 specializations per hero for every hero in the game currently? I mean, I think we looked at it before, and there was, say, 13. You know what? Since Shire's in there, we'll count all these specialty ones as well. So if we go off of the Blitz heroes, that's about 34 different heroes to support, given that specialization use key names. In which case, I would probably say there's 1 specialization per hero if they really are going to just dump a card for every possible hero in the game. If they stick with just the... Well, I can't actually say Classic Construction, because Cheyenne, unless we get an adult version in Dusk Till Dawn, is just a Blitz hero, right? Altogether, I don't think we're going to see as much Shapeshifter support as I would have liked to see, but it is definitely interesting that we're getting all these specialization cards. It's definitely more realistic to assume that we're going to get a whole bunch of specializations.